welcome to Minnie and Me on the Road. This is Minnie, for those of you who may not have met her yet. I'm sure most of you have. I want to thank everyone who commented and subscribed to my channel from the last video, which was my first YouTube video. The positive feedback was really touching, so thank you. Today I just wanted to discuss the two big questions that came up once I started thinking about traveling full time. The first one was, what do I do with my house? And the second question is, what do I do with my stuff? So my house, I had two options: sell it or rent it. And my stuff, I also had two options: either put it in a storage unit or give it away, sell it. So when it came to my house, I thought about selling it for a little bit of time, but that wasn't really ever going to be an option for me, because it was a lot of work to actually be able to buy a house on my own, so I really didn't want to sell it. The other option, renting, I didn't really feel like, well, I didn't know if my house was rentable or not. I loved it, but it's an older house and I didn't know if it was rentable. So I reached out to a co-worker that I knew had experience in renting properties and got some tips and asked lots of questions, and then organised to ring a real estate agent to come have a look at my house. The first one I rang, they weren't interested in coming out 6 months beforehand. They said to ring back once I was ready to rent it out, which wasn't going to work for me because I needed to know what had to be done to get it rented and if it was suitable to be rented out. So I rang someone else, and she was lovely, and she came out the next week and had a look around and took lots of notes, and she explained everything to me, how it all works, all the things I needed to get fixed, insurances and all that, and she emailed it all to me later as well. So then I started working through that list. It was things like having a smoke detector that was hardwired, replacing the shower screen that was broken when I actually bought the place, that had to be replaced, getting the decking fixed a little bit, restaining it. The front door had a lot of marks from my old cat Jasper, so I needed to replace the front door. There was quite a long list that I started working through over the next 6 months. Then at the same time, I was starting to work out what to do with all my stuff. 3 bedrooms full and a shed, and I looked into a storage unit and the costs associated with that, and I also looked into how much it would cost for removalists to put all my things in a storage unit. And at that time I didn't know how long I would be traveling for. I felt like once I was on the road, I'd probably be on the road for a little while. It's now been 9 months and I'm still loving it. I do check in regularly with myself just to check if it's still the right thing for me. So I decided not to put my things in storage. Also didn't know how they'd go being in storage for a long period of time. So I decided to sell and give away everything. Which, if you stand in your house and look around at every drawer and every cupboard and lounges and TVs, beds, it's amazing how much stuff that we accumulate. And I actually didn't know how to get started it just felt way overwhelming, starting to sell and give away all my stuff. So I remember I actually went up into my bedroom and just looked around, and I found a drawer that I could start with, and that was how I started. And then I moved on to my clothes, and I started working out what I was going to keep, what I wasn't sure about, and what I would give away. And then that was how I went through all my things. It was a very slow process over many months of going through everything. I had my brother and my sister come over, and I gave them a whole heap of things that they could use, carload and trailer load. I posted a lot of things on Facebook Marketplace, and I had a friend who helped me as well take everything to the op shop that was possible, and then threw out things that were no good. It was a huge undertaking. I had a trampoline to get rid of, and monkey bars, and I actually had someone that wanted to buy something but didn't have the money, so he offered to come and do something for me in exchange for that, which is something I hadn't done before. But he came and cleared out the shed for me, and that was fantastic. It was such a help. So that was a different way of doing things. It was quite a stressful time, because at the same time I was working full-time and also still working out the caravan and the car, so there was a lot going on. With the renting, I ended up getting the house empty of all my stuff. I ended up with only three small plastic boxes of things I wanted to keep, which my sister is kindly looking after for me. And so once the house was empty, I got the real estate agent around to have a look at it again. And I got another great big long list of things to do, which was challenging. So then I started working through that list. And then I got most of that done and got her to come out again, and I got more things on the list. So at this point I was starting to think that I was never going to hit the road. I was starting to feel like it was a long way away. But then out of the blue I got a phone call from the real estate agent, and she had a family that needed a place to live, and could they come and have a look. So they came and have a look through, and then I think the next day I got a phone call saying that they were interested in taking it. And it was only about a week after that they moved in and I hit the road. It was really unexpected and a lot to organise in a short period of time. The biggest thing was landlord insurance, which is essential. The day before they were moving in, I rang a couple of places, and this was around the flooding along the Murray. It was that period of time, and the first place I rang said no, because of where I lived they weren't going to insure me, and I didn't live anywhere near the Murray River. But that was a shock. And then I rang another place and they said the same thing. So at this point I was starting to get very worried. I had tenants moving in the next day, and I was struggling to get insurance for the house. So then I rang another place and spoke to them, and thankfully they said that they would insure me for everything except for floods, and that wouldn't be a problem, and that was such a relief. Yeah, such a stressful time going through the renting and the getting rid of all my stuff. but so worth it, so worth it. I am really loving being on the road and traveling and exploring. I remember standing at the fence looking into I've got a little mini orchard, and I had chooks and ducks in there, and I remember this feeling of overwhelm and just wondering what I was doing. Was I doing the right thing? I had to find a home for my cat, Xena. Thankfully, my sister could take her for me. But it has all worked out, even though it was really, really stressful at the time and I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. Super glad that I pushed through out of my comfort zone and kept going, because it's amazing. I'm really loving it. Thank you for listening, and next week I will give you a look through my caravan to see what I decided to keep, and quite a minimalist life, which I'm loving. And yeah, thank you for listening.